RP3 is actually a program that the American Public Power Association has, and it's a way for utilities to do an assessment of the cornerstones of the items that you need to be doing in order to be actually successful in being a public power entity. So those are safety, reliability, workforce development, and system improvement. So all the things that are really the foundation of what a utility needs to do to really be doing what we're here for. So once you have those aspects in place, it really, everything else kind of falls into place with hopefully the value you're providing to the community, making sure that your people are working safe, that your system is functioning as it should be, and that in the system development and workforce development that you're planning for how you're going to develop your people and planning how you're going to keep, investing in your system in small ways to keep the reliability up through the system improvement aspect. This is our 6th time, and actually we achieved the highest level of recognition through APPA for the RP3 program. So we achieved the diamond level, which means that when we do our submittal on the 4 cornerstones, that our evaluation is, I believe, we are at 92% of the points or higher in order to get the diamond level. So that means that for all the things that APPA is looking for, like in the safety aspect, that you're having safety meetings, that you're completing the OSHA logs, that you're keeping up with the APPA safety manual, that you're documenting what your training is for safety, that we're doing those things. And that in system improvement, that we have a plan that outlines for numerous years how we're going to address replacing and renewing the system and adding to it to make sure that we're keeping up with the equipment as it ages out, we're keeping up with all the pieces and parts that are out on the actual system, that like the poles and the wire and the underground and the things of that nature, that they have a lifespan, and that we're planning to replace those before they come to the end of their lifespan. A good example of that for PWC is we have a very large project for replacing our sub-transmission poles. So over X amount of years, I believe it's a 20-year span, we're going to replace all of the sub-transmission poles that we have. And these are very critical because sub-transmission feeds a number of substations, so they have a very high impact on reliability should one of them fail. So we see that we're basically taking out wood poles and putting in steel poles that have a much better storm hardening aspect to them, and they have a much longer lifespan. So PWC has been doing that capital project for a number of years and will continue to do it until all the poles have been replaced, and then most likely there'll be a plan in place to start over again where we were at the beginning. In addition, you'll see a lot of aspects where we're doing a lot of work in our substations, another critical element to reliability, replacing transformers, rebuilding the yards, rebuilding the structure, the breakers, all the things that are expensive items that unless you have a structured plan for replacement, they'll fail, and then you'll be basically doing a very expensive replacement in a short period of time. So we have a really good capital planning aspect that falls into system improvement. Workforce development, we send a lot of our folks to APPA events, we send them to the NACAMES events, so we have a very active program for getting people actually that come in the door at PWC and getting them trained to do what they need to do here for us, and also as they progress in their careers for keeping their continuing education going so that they can maintain their professional engineer's license and other aspects of what they do. So that all gets documented, and that all goes into the RP3, and they score you based on whether you've really done what they're looking for in order to keep those elements at the highest level. Diamond level is very hard to come by. Only the utilities that are really doing all of the things that they're supposed to be doing as far as APPA's criteria achieve diamond. It's not easy. It takes a lot of resources and a lot of work. It also involves basically from your policymakers all the way down to the folks doing it that they support that effort. You have to, as I talked about, be willing to have capital plans, execute those capital plans. You have to spend money on your workforce in order to train them and get the development that's needed to keep them safe and make sure that they're trained for what you want them to do at the utility. So it starts all the way at the top of the organization and goes all the way through all the employees that are here. So it's a very large commitment in order to do the things you need to do to get to the diamond level. Now APPA does have different classes of utilities. They have very small utilities and medium and large ones, or larger ones like us, and they have different criteria based upon those folks' resource. The larger utilities like us, we're the 35th largest in the Public Power Association. those are guys that have more than 60,000 customers. And so we fall into that category with our 83,000. And there is nothing above that. It's from 60-some thousand up to, I think, SMUD and LADWP have over 1 million customers. So we're kind of in the category with the guys that can do a lot of things, but we compete with them rather well. For the customer, this is a tremendous benefit. What this means for them is that the basics are taken care of, that when you turn on a light switch, your lights come on, and that your bill is not exorbitantly high. And so it really means a lot of value to them. By doing this type of thing and the type of thinking, planning, and assessment that we're doing, we're taking out the elements that are very negative to customers, like massive failures of transmission, failures of substations, how well we weather hurricanes and how fast we can restore. So these are the impacts that a customer would see. If we weren't planning and thinking through how we're going to replace our equipment in a systematic and orderly manner, they would see those impacts because those types of things would happen and they would be affected by them. On the value side of it, if we don't think through and plan how we're going to do those types of capital investments, they would see a negative impact in their rate structure. They would see, because we didn't do things in a planned manner, they'd see spikes in their rates in order to overcome these failures of equipment that are causing reliability problems. On the safety and workforce development aspects, safety in particular can have a very negative impact if not done correctly within particularly an electric utility. And that would negatively influence the customers in probably the worst way, that you would see a lot of claims, you would have a lot of aspects of the utility having some really negative things happen if we didn't really focus on safety and making sure that the guys that do this work with this dangerous entity know what they're doing. So it's really critical that utilities focus on that and do that well in order to avoid the negative impacts that would flow through to your customers. As far as the reliability aspect, we pretty much cover that. Workforce development probably is the hardest one to tie back to what the customers see, but workforce development basically means that we're sustainable, that we're bringing new people in to replace the folks that are getting to retirement that have the most experience in the utility, and trying to make sure that we're getting that translation of what people have learned over 30 years to people that are coming through the door, so that we can still maintain that high level of quality that our customers get from us. Again, getting back to the value that they see from us. I'm extremely proud. Before I came to work at PWC, I worked at another utility, and we tried really hard to do our RP3, and we were never able to achieve the diamond level. So to be at a utility that's able to get to that level, it gives you a tremendous sense of pride, and also it reinforces that you have the resources and the support to do things in the best way that you can, which I think really makes a difference for the folks that are working here, because they really can take pride in the fact that we're doing the right things, we're being recognized for it, and it really gives you that validation that on this side of the things, the internals of the utility, that things are being done right.